normally there's an intro of how the podcast is going to go. Typically, it's like this guest is this person, this da-da-da-da. Let's get into it. I'm recording at the end of the podcast. My guest has already left. And I want to talk a little bit about how it went. I respect him highly, not just because of the person he's been in my life. He's known me all my life. I've known him since I was a child, but I respect him because he, like me, shares the desire to do great things and to be better. When someone recognizes that I want to go from here to further up north, I want to move in direction in my life where there is a success, where there is progression, you have to be okay with failing. Because if you're not okay with failing, the moment you fail, you'll give up because it's an uncomfortable feeling and it's not fun. He's a man who made mistakes in his youthful age of life, had the mercy of God on his life. He should have gone to prison for 9 years for what he did, but instead received mercy, a second chance, a family, a position to lead other men, and now in this chapter of his life, fulfillment in family, ministry, and in his personal business that he started. He has been, in my eyes, a success. And I'm so glad he came on to my podcast. I'm very grateful. So stay tuned because this is a learning progress. Okay. All our cameras are rolling. Just to kind of give you some insight.
Yeah.
Of now you're getting to see what my world looks like.
Yeah.
I film weddings. I film events. Some other things here and there, but you can see how much gear I have to bring, lighting and audio, and how nerve-wracking it is to make sure everything's good.
Yeah.
So this is very exciting. Very exciting. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You're my first official guest.
All right.
I had my friend Greg on, but I'm not counting him. We were here till 12 at night filming, and we had a fun time. We filmed for 3 hours.
Yeah.
We're not going to film for 3 hours today. Praise God. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on my podcast. The whole reason I wanted to start this is to give an opportunity to people such as yourself who have an incredible, amazing story that not a lot of people might actually know. Our church is probably at 300 people right now, and not many of them know your story. And it gives an opportunity to tell that story, to show what God has done in your life. And it gives people, my generation, the opportunity to hear mistakes that were made or things that were done right and can save heartache, time, energy, regret. And I feel like there's no better way to become knowledgeable and learn than to observe other people, whether they're doing great, whether they're doing bad right now, or they had mistakes. Look for people.
Yeah.
Look for examples. And we were just talking about examples, Pastor being, one of them for you.
Yeah.
But I'd love to start at the very beginning of where you were born, where you grew up, and what was your life like at that time?
Okay, I was born in California, little town, Indio. I was born in 1960, and that's why I was raised there, growing up as a kid, and I got to saw a lot of things, my parents raising me up, and my parents, us growing up, and we kind of like when we were kind of like just barely making it, and I got to see a lot of things out there, since I was a young, you know, going to school, getting a little older, and I saw a lot of stuff. Growing up, my mom and dad, they were barely making it, and we were raised, we're kind of like, I don't want to say poor, but my father and my mom were try to make so we could, have food on the table and all
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and we raised chickens,
Really?
and
Did you have, was it in your house, did you have some land? Did you have a backyard? Was it, a lot of property, or were you in a really urban
I
area?
wasn't little, like we were in a small house, but it was fenced in, and that's where we raised our chickens, and there was time that mom asked me, hey son, go get a chicken, and that was gonna be our dinner,
Wow.
and we'll get
Wow.
everything ready, the hot water, stuff like that to get our meal ready, our dinner, just from growing up like that, and
What were your parents like? You're 5, 8 years old. What's the culture like? Are you in a big family, small families, everybody there?
yeah, we have a family. There's 9 of us, 5 brothers and 4 sisters,
Wow.
and we were like this, like different ages, and but we all lived in the same house, and you know, it just I got to see a lot of things, and we're a big family, and
Okay.
mom had to work, make some money. My dad,
Yeah.
and there was times that mom would send me outside. There's like a ground, a weed, grown from the grass, and she would ask me sometimes, "Hey son, Romero, can you go pull some of that weed, bring it inside?" And I'll pluck a little bit of them, and take them inside her, and she will clean them out and everything, and she'll cut like bacon she can change it to meat, and that will be a dinner,
Wow.
because it's just like the money wise,
Yeah.
we're, like my dad was barely making it, my mom, but they will work hard to make a little money so we can eat, and
Did you feel the impact? So your parents are working hard. What are the feelings you had as a kid? Did you know that you guys needed more money, or was it everything's fine and I'm happy and I know mom and dad work really hard? Because I think for me as a very young child, um, you just don't know what maybe mom and dad know. You don't know that you can't afford things. Like sometimes you don't know that.
right.
Was that what the feeling was like in your house?
Well, on that area enough, my feelings were I wish we could have more money, and there were sometimes, you want a bike or
Yeah.
something, and but like it to me, seeing all this, and I mean there was time, we were getting a little older too, there was time, and mom or dad will say, "Look, we're gonna go start picking up aluminum cans," you know. So she'll put us in the station wagon, everybody, and we go to the back rows, and she'll split us up, and
Team effort.
you guys are over here and you guys are over here. So just to make a little money, and then my dad and my dad will be driving the station wagon, we'd be going with picking up aluminum cans, bottles, or and until we get maybe like an hour, 2 hours, the max that we get our aluminum cans so we can sell to buy food.
Wow.
We did that for off and on. We did that for off and on for a while, and just to get in our so they can have money to feed us and to buy us what we need, you know. And there was a time that a man passes by and told my dad and mom, "Do you guys want some Lumini cans? I have some bags. Just follow me," you know. So we all got in a station wagon. They got everybody in the car, and so we follow him. We pulled in. He pulled in maybe like a lot of acres, you know,
Oh,
like he
okay.
had a
He had
lot of land. And we parked. We got off, and he gets off the car, and he goes towards like a barn, you know, like a big garage, you know, like, and he opens the door, and we saw bags of these are aluminum. These are for you. If you guys want them, this is for you.
Wow. Bags of it.
I mean, you
Oh
didn't.
my
I
word.
mean, what he did to us, I know what my mom and dad felt. I mean, wow, you know, and because I knew at that time that God sees the heart, you know, and God bless us that day.
Wow.
We had bag. We had to go back and forth to get those bags, you know, and they made a lot of money, you know, just from the individual that pulled up and
Do you feel like, I mean, that's really generous of that man to do that. That's very kind. And that
yes,
blessed you guys. Do you feel like that generosity, that spirit of you see something, you know you can help somebody. Do you feel like that's gone in our present day right now? Or maybe we don't see it as much?
yeah. There's some time that you know, what they taught us, and you know, because mom always believe, always said to us, when somebody's in need, you have to help them.
Yeah.
Try to help them a little bit, you know, because growing up, seeing things, how my mom and dad set the example to us, you know, and you know, if somebody needs something, you know, help them, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and she taught us that too, you know, us growing up, you know, and because we were once helped from people, and we want to be able to share and help people the same way that we got help, you know.
So what do you feel like were some core principles that your mom gave to the family and your dad gave to the family? Your dad is there, your mom's there, everybody's hardworking. What are some principles that both mom and dad gave that maybe have lasted till this day that are just in you?
Well, the principle, it just kept on. It just kept on, you know, and kind of related it to my sisters, you know, but they all got married, they all had their life, you know, and that's stood in us, you know. And for me growing up, me as you know, it was kind of like I, you know, me growing up, you know, at that age, you know, it was kind of hard for me a little bit because as me being a little older now, you know, me when I was young, you know, and to live that life, I was abused, and that kind of like it crushed my heart a little bit, and it was hard for me sometimes to to the sharing that my mom did with people there, you know, it was hard for me because I carried that in me.
Hmm.
And but during the years growing up, my mom always just still taught us and the example they gave us, you know, and but it took me a long time to break out of that,
Hmm.
you know. But during the years growing up, I got it now, you know, because they were serving God and everything. And I see the work they did. Hey, I want to be able to really help people. I want to be like my dad. I want to be like my mom.
Right.
You know.
I think mom and dad's, I'm 21 now, coming up on getting married. And I feel like in this stage of my life at 21, I always at the forefront want to remind myself that no matter how hard I study or observe and learn, which is a good thing to do. I don't want to ever think I'm smarter and I've got everything figured out. I always want to continue to learn.
Right.
The name of this podcast is called A Learning Progress. I believe right now, and I always say right now because I'm young, I feel like your mind can always change and evolve as you learn things and go through things. But I believe that no matter who you are, what you do, or where you're at in life, it's always going to be a learning progress.
Yes.
Whatever stage, it's always new, and it should be new. If you stop desiring to learn, if you stop desiring to grow, you're failing yourself for what you can do. But at this stage in my life, looking at parents, because I'm going to get married, and within a couple years, I'll have kids, which is crazy. That's very crazy. But it makes me think very deeply and very humbly of what kind of dad I want to be or can be. And now it makes me think about my parents and how they raised me. And I really feel like parents are the unsung heroes. The unsung heroes. And we don't get to give them the credit they deserve. I feel like a parent, I'm not one, but from what I've seen, relationships with kids and parents, there can kind of be a bridge and a gap where I've seen young men who grew up and because their father or mother or significant person wasn't able to do what they really should have done, you know, the role of a father, the role of a mother, they grow up with a resentment towards them.
Yeah.
But and I can understand that, but at the same time, that father or that mother didn't know how to do what they wish they could have done. They wanted to be a father. They wanted to be a mother who was present or who was encouraging or who told them they believed in them. But they themselves didn't have an example to give that. And so it's a cycle. And so it's so important to me to take the time before getting married, before having kids, in the stage of my life to reflect on all of the amazing, great things my parents did.
Yeah.
But also reflect on what do I want to do further and take further. And I believe that is a healthy, successful mindset to say, what can I do better? And to give my kids. And then they're going to do better. And if everyone keeps that mindset going,
Right.
it's going to be a great family. I think of the Sargent family. To see now 4 generations
Right.
in one church. I mean, that started with Elder Sargent doing the best he could to his son, to
Right.
now the 4th generation. So
Yep.
I really really love parents who give their best.
Yes. And you know, parents will always be your parents. Mom always be your mom. We all have mistakes. You know, I mean, us. I mean, it's like going back, what you said. I mean, we didn't know how they were raised. Right. You know, and but deep inside, man, I want to be a good dad. I want to be a good mom. You know,
Right.
and but as growing up, man, it's really up to us now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I mean, me growing up, you know, I mean, I had to break that barrier, you know, from my grandma abused me, you know, and I had to break that because I'm gonna bring this. If I don't break this, if I carry this, I will bring this into my relationship when I get married.
Right.
And I don't want.
And that's a scary thing.
I didn't want to do that, you know.
Right.
But it just, I mean, your mom will always be your mom.
Yeah.
I mean, your dad will always be your dad because they brought you into this world, you
Right.
know. And that's the way I saw my parents. And my parents, they had their area, they had their moments, you know, but they did their best to raise us up, you know, as a family, you know. But going back what you said, we're gonna be growing up, and one day we're gonna be, you know, married, you know, and we have to say you know what, I could do this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do this. I want to do better in life.
That's absolutely right. So, going back into kind of our journey and our story, you've grown up. Your parents are hardworking people. You have 8 siblings, or just a family of 9?
Right now, there's 5 brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and there's 3 sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I had one of my older sister passed away too,
Mm-hmm.
in the year 2000,
Okay.
and now there's 5 brothers and 3 sisters,
Okay.
and they're all back home,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you're growing up. Um, what were you like when you were hitting that 15, 16, 17-year era in your life? You're getting really close to 18. That's the time where a lot of young men are making big plans. What was
Yeah.
going in your head? What was your goals? Where were you at?
And that age, going into high school, be a freshman, man, I wanna be somebody. Cause I love sports. I love wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
I got into high school, and went out for the team, and
A wrestling team or?
a wrestling team,
Okay.
the high
Awesome.
school, and but at that age, going to high school, and my ways changed a little bit, and because I wanted to be somebody,
Mm-hmm.
and
Was that desire just in you? You just growing up?
yeah,
It was
that's
just there
it was there
in your
because
heart?
going back, little young, going to the boys club. This day I was did tournaments, wrestling tournaments, and I always took first place,
Really?
and at the one tournament they did at the boys club, I think I was probably like 6th or 7th grade, if I'm not, I think 7th grade. So I took first place.
Wow.
So I see these big two guys, follow me to the locker room, and I look back, who are these people following me, So they sat right beside me, and they told me, no, they looked at me, you're pretty good. Well, you like to wrestle for us when you go to high school? Well, I guess, and that's the part that hit me, that it made me,
They sought you out.
yes,
They sought you out. They saw something in you that you were like,
yes,
oh, okay, yeah,
yes.
I'll do that.
And when I got to high school, freshman, and I went out and I made the team, and I made varsity,
Wow.
and I had to take, when the training and practice started going on, because there's competing. I took 5 guys out, and
Wow.
it just, because it was in me. It was in me.
Yeah.
And I took it to the heart, and man, I could be somebody. I wanted to go to there's one day I said to myself, I want to be able to make it to the Olympics, be somebody high, but just that it helped me. It helped my character a little bit. It changed a little bit,
Definitely gives you confidence too
Yes,
in your head and your mind. Okay, so you're 16, 17, 18, 19. And you had gotten confidence in the wrestling.
yes.
Where are we at? You're 18. Turn 18.
From 16, from sophomore, I end up getting baptized, and because we're going to church, that my mom used to take us to church and all that, used to be with the youth, and I end up getting baptized. I just getting involved with the youth, and sophomore came. The teammate didn't talk to me anymore. They kind of like cast me aside, because freshman I wrestled, and coming to sophomore year, nobody talked to me.
Huh.
Taco, that was my nickname back in high school when I made the team. Taco, I'll believe it when I see. Remember, I'll believe it when I see it when it come back out. Junior came back out again. Junior, the 11th grade. I mean, I was struggling, but I wanted to go out. My parents said, "You can, you're doing this. You're going to church, and they're worried about me,
Yeah.
me leaving the church and all that. But
Mm-hmm.
at that moment, I could see myself like already letting go of God a little bit because the temptation,
Yeah.
the practices, I mean, seeing my friends, and it just changed, and going into my senior year. But sophomore and junior year, just to meet your grades, I get help from people to do my homework, and because
Been there.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
taking government and U.S.
Mm-hmm.
history and all that, and it was a challenge for me,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
and my last year came, and then I was home one day, and and I had to talk with my mom. Mom, I gotta go out. I gotta go out back for the team. My teammates ain't talking to me, and I gotta do this. No, you can't do this. I mean, this is gonna happen. Mom, please. I will be careful. I will. I'll watch what I'm doing.
How old were you at that time?
I was my last year. I was already like maybe like 17 or
Okay.
going into senior.
Okay. Okay.
And
And you're telling
and
her I'll be careful.
yes,
Okay.
and they would tell me you need to be careful to this. I don't know. Go talk to your dad. My dad was easy to convince, and he just shook his head. Yeah, okay, go talk to your mom. So they let me. And going out the last year. And I mean, season was over. I took tournament champions, took second in DVL, and we took 3 years CIF champions. And that was something that it really stayed in me. Wanting to go higher. But in between those 3 years, I'm sophomore and junior, I was already like drifting away from God. And then after the last year that finished, I got invited to a party, and I told Mom, I'm going to go to a team party.
A tent party.
It was like a team party from the
Oh,
Raspy.
team.
Yeah,
Okay.
team party,
Okay.
and I got invited, and I had my friend approach me, and hey, hey Taco, that was my nickname
Mm-hmm.
back then, and here's beer, No, I don't drink. I'm fighting that, and are you sure, yeah. And he comes again, and that time I wasn't sure, but I could see myself drifting away, from church. So he comes again, and okay, why not,
Mm-hmm.
and I just took that drink, and all of a sudden, it just like my whole world just totally just like blacked out, and man, what did I do, and him is so hard that it's like I am so sorry, God, what I did, and it really hit me, and for about a week, I was kind of like went into like a moment of silence, because I feel God, and I did that I'm supposed to be doing, and I did that, and like my whole world just it's like I saw my friends from church and all that. It's like disintegrate, and all of a sudden, I mean, how sin takes you right away,
Mm.
out of the
It's
from
there and
the
it's ready for you.
yes, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I just started like not going to church anymore, and made my parents sad, and and they saw that they couldn't stop me anymore, because I was
Yep. You're an
already
adult.
going, yeah,
You're an
and
adult.
it just, and from there on, just start hitting the streets, I quit when my season finished, the wrestling season finished. I quit school. I knocked on my counselor's office, yeah, I want out, and that's when everything just totally just went my own way.
So we're at the part in your life where there's the decline and you're starting to slip. Where did you go from that 18 to 20 area?
Well, that from there I started like just hanging out with my cousins and going to parties and really got in deep, and it got so deep we started carrying, guns and all that, just to protect ourselves because we were going to different parties and
What area of California are you in at this time?
we're the area it's Indio.
Indio.
Yeah, it's a small town.
Is that southern or northern?
Southern, by right there by Palm Springs area.
Okay.
Yeah, Indio, Coachella, and then goes like around that area,
Okay.
and just started hanging out every day and bought me a car. I dropped it and made it really low, and had a Monte Carlo 76,
Wow.
and I just started carrying my cousins, and
What kind of guns did you carry, if you can remember?
I used to carry a 9-shot German Luger, 9-shot under my seat, and we just go and just party, and it got so bad that we're at a party and my cousin threw a big party there, and at his house, and I was in the back. I was dancing with a young lady, and all of a sudden I heard two gunshots, and about 15 minutes later, and I got the word in my ear, and hey, Abel shot Eduardo, my cousin shot my best friend, and that we wrestled in a team together in high school, we're pretty tight, me and my best friend. He made it, he survived it, and matter of fact, I went back to go visit him just past last year,
Wow.
and when they told me that, and I just like, oh, it's like the pressure hit me so hard, and I said these guys are gonna come back. Okay, these other guys that I knew, my best friend, I know all his friends.
Are you kind of in the middle? Because it was your cousin who shot your friend, but your
Yeah.
friend's got friends
Yeah,
who are going to come back on your cousins.
yeah.
So you're kind of in the middle here.
I was kind of like in the middle because he's my cousin. But at that moment, at that time, I was already feeling like my cousin was already like kind of like
Drifting.
drifting away and doing his own thing, like doing things that we get hit for that,
Yeah.
And there was a time that I told him, hey, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
I mean, and all of a sudden he went his way, I went my way, but we still hanged out a little bit, and but I did not respect that anymore, and there was a few months, I was at home and my mom said, hey, Eduardo's here, your friend's here, and the one my cousin shot, and we started talking a little bit, and I told him, hey, I'm sorry, bro, and what happened,
Yeah.
My life started drifting away more and more and more, and all of a sudden it just happened. I started selling drugs, and
Was starting selling drugs, was that you're poor and you just need money, you want more money, or that's just the culture, why not?
I wanted more money,
Yeah.
and I didn't push it for a long time. It was only a short amount because what happened, I was selling from my parents' home, and for a little bit, and I was selling two types of drugs, and I see this young man pulls up, because you have to know every hey, so and so's going over there, you know, and this one white guy walks up, white. Hey, are you Sodom? That's me, and yeah, it's me, and okay, so I'll be right out, So I went inside the house and I said to myself, who is this guy? I didn't recognize him, and I felt a deep. I mean, something's not right here. Well, I gave him the stuff, and that's what made me stop. Because I mean, if I were to get caught or get busted there, my mom could have been in prison. I
Yeah,
could have
they
been in
would have been
prison.
affected.
So I stopped everything right there. I just felt something so deep. I gotta stop doing this. So I cut it, and just went back into my own, just hanging out with my homies,
Yeah,
my friends, you
yeah.
know. Yeah, and it just kept on going, and then I got busted, I went to jail, and mom went to visit me, and the first word she told me, so you so-called friends, where are they now? And
Wow,
it just
it cuts
that
deep.
I got busted for one burglary and grand theft stolen auto, and but in it that grand theft stolen auto, I got involved with it, but my cousin that shot my best friend, he gave the word to the detective to the law. Well, he did it, and I had to swallow that.
Yeah,
And they asked me questions. All I said to them, "You got me here, so I'm here." So that's when I had to tell him, I had to cut him loose. He went his way, I went my way.
yeah.
So I was facing 9 years, in state in prison, and but I got an OR release. But I was
What does that mean? OR.
OR is that you get released after so many hours. You get released,
Okay.
from the county, and but there's a public defender defended me, you
Okay.
know, because I made so many hours in the holding tank,
Okay.
and
Is that assigned to you, a public defender? I'm
yeah,
assuming.
it's public defenders. I'm next to a lawyer.
Okay. Okay.
So I got out on old release,
Okay.
but I had to go look for a lawyer, and I mean, because they got a burglary, they got a grand theft pen on me,
So that's a big case.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was, and I was facing 9 years when I went to go see the lawyer, and the first approach he gave me, you going straight to the river. I mean, you going to prison. And all I said, hey man, you got to help me, you know. So fighting the case for about almost 8 or 7 months fighting the case, and going to court, and it was a tough one for me, and so I went for sentence. Already they were gonna sentence me, I had to go to court. Mom wanted to go with me. No, mom, you stay back, and
Did she want to be there for you and
she wanted
support
to
you?
be there for me, and I knew my mom was praying for me, and because my life has gone, it's gone worse. It takes over you. Sin takes over you,
Yeah.
and so when I went to court and all that, and walking into the court, gonna face the judge, and the bailiff is the marshal that asks for your belongings, your belt.
Bailiff?
Yeah,
Okay.
the bailiff, the sheriff that
Yes.
asks you,
Okay.
are you Mr. Rodriguez? Yes, sir.
Okay.
And well, let me have your
Bailiff.
wallet. Let me have all your belongings you have.
Okay.
And it just, in my mind, I'm going to prison. I'm going to prison, you know. And
After you had already, you haven't done 9 years at this point.
no,
You haven't. So how long were you were you in the prison? How long were you in the state prison?
no, I was not in
You
prison
you
yet.
hadn't gone to prison yet.
I haven't gone to
But you
prison.
were facing up to
I
9
was
years.
facing 9 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had been in the jail,
Yeah.
and they said it looks like from these charges you're going to face up to 9 years.
Yes.
Now we're here at the court session. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm following.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my lawyer, when we got together and everything, and I mean, they're gonna send you up.
Yeah.
And I told him, you had to fight for me. I mean, you got to do something, you know. So when we went to court, and so when I walked by my lawyer, so right beside him, and the judge, all rise, you know, and so we rise, so we sat back down, and he said, Mr. Rodriguez, rise, please, you know, and the judge goes, so and so, and he started saying this. How do you plead? I was already guilty already, you know, and guilty, you know, and all of a sudden my lawyer gets up, say something, you know, and Your Honor, can you at least just give him jail time, you know, at least give him jail time, you know. So the prosecutor gets up, and they were going like back and forth with, you know, with my lawyer and the prosecutor, you know.
So help me to understand something, because I love there's a certain aspect of the judicial world that I want to learn more of. So your public defender stands up and is trying to defend you.
Yeah, so when I got out and all released,
Yeah.
that was my public defender. But when I got out,
Now you have a lawyer.
I got my lawyer.
Now you have a lawyer. And the prosecutor, is he representing someone or representing the state?
The prosecutor is presenting he's fighting to lock you up.
And who does he represent? The state, the law?
The law.
The law.
Yeah,
Okay.
the law.
Okay. So he's basically the law saying, well, no, he did this.
Yes.
He should serve this.
Right.
And your lawyer's saying, but Your Honor, such and such, can we do this?
Yes.
Okay. I
Yes.
understand. So he's helping you.
Yes. So all I heard, the judge paused. I want you. He pointed at my lawyer and he points at the prosecutor.
Mm-hmm.
So they all went up. They huddled up, and you can't hear anything.
Yeah.
So they got their both head towards the judge, you
Yeah.
know, and I'm looking, man, what's going on, you know, and so he comes back, and the judge goes, Mr. Rodriguez, rise, please, sit up. Stand up. He told me to rise, and he just started saying like, on so and so case, jail time and prison time. And he said some more things. Couldn't really catch what he said, but all I heard when he told me to stand up, all I heard, case is dismissed. So he hits the hammer at his desk, and my lawyer bumps me. Let's get out of here. Let's follow me. So they dismissed all my case. So like, hey, let's get out of here. So when I walked out with my lawyer and I grabbed my belongings, my package, we went outside and we went by the grass right in front of the court, and he tells me, and he was pretty tall, and he looks down, what happened in there? But I already knew inside of me, Mom prayed for me.
Wow.
Because my mom was a prayer warrior. And he looked at me and he shook his head like, remember what happened in there? I don't know. But I already knew already. Mom was praying for me. Because every night I would come home from partying,
Yeah.
you know, doing this,
Yeah.
I could hear my mom crying and praying for me. I would knock on the door, I'm walking in, tears in her eyes. Where were you? Where were you? You know, oh, just right here, Mom. And when when the lawyer said that, I already knew Mom was praying. And that's why going back, it don't matter if you did wrong or right, your mom will always be your mom. Your dad will always be your dad. And my mom always believed that my mom was a prayer warrior and believed in God a lot, trusted in God, She wanted to go to my course. No, Mom, stay home. But that day, I knew she was praying for me. That's why they didn't lock me up, because I prayed to the Lord and God made a way,
Wow.
you know.
And before you went to your hearing, were you in jail?
Yeah, I got off from jail, and then
How long were you in jail?
I was in there for about probably close to a week,
Okay.
and then they released me, and
Wow.
that's when then I started going, give me a lawyer,
Yeah. Okay.
and how to fight the case,
Wow.
In one court, my lawyer bumped me. We were sitting down, and he goes, "You know who's that right there?" Yes, that's the owner of the car, and he's a lawyer.
Oh no.
So it's just like, man, I'm really going up, and
He's a lawyer. The car
it,
that he stole.
it's just like,
So-
I mean, but
Oh man.
I was set up in that, and because my cousin that I had to cut loose,
Yeah. You can
they
keep
found
talking.
him on the other side,
Wow. 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 So kind of wrapping up. Well, let me ask this. Is there more after that happened? Did you start to clean your act up?
Well, I started cleaning. God spoke to me at that time, getting close. Maybe I think probably like in 83, 83 around that area, and 82. God started like dealing with me. So I heard a voice, and that was with my mom and her boss. And at that time, I heard something just came in me, and I didn't feel good, and so we went home. We went to go eat, and we had took her boss somewhere in town. We went to go eat, but that word when we took her boss, something came over me, and that day I was gonna go party, but that thing came in me, and all of a sudden it just flipped. I went home. My whole mind just turned, and we went to go eat, and I order, and all I know, I can remember just hitting the straw on the table, and they told me, "Remember, are you okay?" I'm fine, So dropped her boss off at home, and we went home, and Mom telling me, "Remember, are you okay?" I'm fine, Mom, okay. So we parked in the driveway. We got home, parked in the driveway, and I don't remember if I closed the door, went straight to my room, went home, straight to my room, and paced around like 2 times, and I heard a voice, "Return back to me, old backslider." And I heard it again, "Return back to me, old backslider." And I called my parents, "Mom, Dad, God just spoke to me right now. I heard a voice." That day, the next day, the journey hits, to about two more years. I think in 83, 84, went back to church, and God just started working in me. He started breaking me and molding me, and going to church. That's how I met my wife. I met her, and we ended up getting married in 85.
You met her. How long was it until you guys got married?
We got married, and I met her like going back to church, probably like in 84, going to church. We started courting, we started dating, and I wanted to get married soon, So we got married in '85, and because I needed somebody,
Yeah.
I needed I needed I needed to change, you
Yeah.
know.
Needed to
For
have a reason to change too.
yeah, that changed me too, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and
I bet. I mean, I would imagine. I think sometimes guys can get to a point where they're smart enough to know I need to change, but I need to have a reason to change more than myself. Because if it's just for myself, I don't have a reason. There's no point. It's like standard of living or money, right? When you just have to take care of yourself, you can eat junk food, you can eat bare minimums.
yeah,
But when you're smart enough to recognize that I'm going to get this beautiful thing, it's not right for me to make bare minimum now. I need to give the best I can, which
right.
requires change. And so it's like, okay, if I get this beautiful addition in my life, I know I'm going to change.
Yep. And it just the first day I saw her, I mean, I was doing gardening in front of the church, and I just looked. Somebody pulled it in, and I mean, I looked between the two buildings, and I mean, I looked at this person, and it was my wife. You know, it was, and I looked, and I said, "Man," I said, "Who's that?" You know, I mean, it just like I something just clicked there.
It's just boom. Yeah.
And I was, you know, and I went into prayer,
Yeah.
and I asked God, you know, this is person I like, and I just felt that He answered my prayers, you know,
Yeah.
and we ended up getting married, you know, and
That's awesome.
'85 and December the 28th, you know.
Wow. Coming back to church, you walk into the church doors, you're getting your life right with God, but you had a past. How did you deal with that? Now being in a place of worship and holiness and separation, and maybe some people, you know, are have like a squeaky clean record. Did you feel judgment? Did you feel you have to work through that yourself? Or were you completely accepted? How did you work through that? Because everybody has their own way of coming back, and it's hard.
Yeah,
I know. I know people like
it
that.
it was hard for me because what I did in the past, but I knew God has called me back because I felt the power. I felt His calling that He spoke to me at in the room, you know. But when I went back to church, walking into those doors, and it was like different. Are these people are gonna accept me back? You know,
Yeah.
and at that time, going back to church and all that, and I mean, it was hard for me to feel God sometimes because, you know, the devil plays with the mind.
Yeah.
He plays with the mind, you know, and I could say probably like 2 3 years, like when I started coming back to church, you know, like, and you know, and it's just like, God, I want to feel you. I want to feel you, you know, and to one day I just poured out, you know, God, I need you, you know, let me know if you still love me, you know.
Well.
And that's when a brother put his arm over me. We're at the altar, and that's when the Lord showed me there, I still love you, you know,
Through the arm of
and
another brother.
yeah, yeah, and God,
That's great.
and I felt it, and and I knew that God still loved me, you know, that He's gonna
Yeah.
give me another chance,
Yeah.
you know.
Wow. What What are some lessons that young people excuse me. What are some lessons that young people can take away from your mistakes? What can they learn from? I have a couple in mind, but I'd like to hear what you think they could take away
Well,
from.
to me, to the young people, staying. I mean, go to church. You know, find a good church. You know, and I mean, find a friend that you trust. a mentor, in your life, and because the this time of the that we're living in right now, the peer pressure is getting the young people right now.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's just taking off. It's just taking people, and what helped me and that peer pressure because I had friends, and I want to relate this to people out there. Find a good friend, find an elder, stay in church. If you're in church, stay in church, and what helped me is just is talking to God, and my way's the way I feel. I was hearing the preaching at that time. I mean, Jeff Arnold and Lee Stone King. Look at when you talk to God, just be honest with them.
Oh, I love that.
Be sincere with them.
I love that.
And that's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Because He already sees inside of you.
Yeah.
But He
So
wants
why
to
lie?
hear it from you.
Yeah,
you
why
know?
fake? Why facade it?
And when I heard that, my brother, it's just like, wow. Is that all I got to do? But like Jeff Arnold said, just be honest with them.
Yeah.
And he will listen to you. So I started doing that. There was time I'll break down in tears. God, I'm giving you all this. Please help me. And I felt that God came through, in my moments,
That's amazing. Yeah, in my own walk, my own journey, I'm very grateful to my parents. I remember as a young kid, my mom praying in the mornings. And if this can be a word of encouragement to parents and really to myself, so I can remember, but no little thing goes unnoticed. It's all noticed, which can be a scary thing because you're like, man, I might mess up more than I do good in front of my kid. I don't want them to remember that, but the good things are remembered. And I'll have conversations with I think with my dad sometimes.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, this one thing happened, and I'm like, yeah, I know, I remember that. He's like, you do? It's like, oh, what else do you remember? I'm like,
Yeah.
all good things,
Yeah.
Dad. But those good things all add up. Just because it's might be considered a little thing, that doesn't mean it can't add up to another little
Right.
thing. And that's what makes a successful pattern, is that it's consistency and it's there.
Right.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
didn't know how to do something like they wanted to. But it doesn't matter at the end of the day. When you give everything you have and you're trying to learn, you're doing great. But my parents would pray in the morning. I would do school in the morning. Things that'll stay with you.
Yeah.
Things that'll stay with you. And I'm really grateful for them. Another question I had.
We got married and started a life, together, and told her that I wanted kids right away, wanted to start a family, and all of a sudden we had Andrew, and when we had Andrew, it was, and I wanted to be a father that, I have my areas, my son growing up, Andrew growing up, and asking God, let me be a good father, and we got our weaknesses and this and that, and that's how we have to come out asking God, help me.
Yeah.
Help me in this area.
Yeah.
Show me how to be a father, and then Kayla came along, and we had her, and then Ryan came along, and so it started adjusting a little bit, and now I got a big family now,
Yeah. 5.
I have 4. I adopted Reba, too.
Yes. Yes.
And when I had my family, I had Andrew, I had Kayla, and Ryan, from work back home, it kind of like it just wow. I gotta not work. I was working, but I wanted to be stable
Yeah.
and to show God that I could support my family.
Prove that you can do it.
Yeah, and working and everything, saved our money. We bought our first home when we were first starting like that, and things in and that time, God was showing me things, and how to be responsible,
Yeah.
and I mean, 'cause coming from the streets, and the gang,
Mm-hmm.
this and hanging out. I have to change that. The past. I'm something new now for God now. I got my wife.
Right.
I got my kids now.
Right.
I had to be that example now.
And like you said, when you were in those teen years, you had the feeling of, I want to be something great. I want to do something great. And here you are, and here's God saying, I know your heart's desires. I'm going to give you a wife. I'm going to give you a family. And it sounds like you're looking around, you're like God's given me this.
Yeah.
And I'm learning how to do the things that are making me better. And that's a fulfillment.
Yes.
That's a fulfillment.
Yes. At home, when I married my wife, and she went to school and everything, and she was a school teacher at the academy. That's where my kids went. Andrew, Kayla, and Ryan too, and she began to help me too, my vocabulary, my reading, and because I knew this was the God thing, and I know God put her in my life because my wife was determined for me to learn, to not to embarrass me or anything like that, and because he saw in me, you can do it, and so I tried the books again and got back into, but I had to work this. I had to work too, and it was a time that I just couldn't do it. So I just went to work, but I still grabbed what she was telling me to learn this, to learn that, and to this day, she still pushes me. She still pushes me as a wife. I mean, her, this that you could do it, and but coming to Spokane, I mean, it was the whole thing coming to. I mean, when we landed in Salt Lake City, I mean, and we got here like 2008, and that's when everything started turning,
Oh yeah, the market crash too.
Yeah, and it just like, we sold our home and all that, and we came over here, and God started working with me more, Salt Lake City told me to take the mustache off, so at that moment, that time, God was already working in my life, He was preparing me for ministry, and I felt it, because at that time, back that time, I wanted to be something for God, and God, I want to be able to do that. I want to do this for you, and I became an usher over there, then coming over here, and
Yeah.
Pastor asked me to be the head usher, and that's why I'm so grateful because I learned, and by mistake, but God helped me to make them good,
Would you go through some of the stories that we were talking about earlier about you're now ushering, head usher, and how a pastor was able to help even more so on those refining skills and some lessons that you were kind of learning the hard way, and now it's kind of funny to look back at.
So coming, I mean, from over there this way, over there I had to learn some areas too, my skills and all that, and let me give a little bit of back when I was back home, just a little bit. Being an usher over there under somebody, but that was the other church when I came from this one over here, and I had to learn a lot of skills, how to be obedient to my head usher, and because coming from out there right away over here,
Hello? Oh, hey.
and coming over here to Spokane under Pastor Bell, and because over there was different, the culture, and but coming over here, and I mean, and then I got into the usher ministry, and then after that, maybe like 2010, Pastor asked me to be the head usher, so I told him yes, and that moment it hit me, and 2 weeks later we had a meeting, and we had a meeting in his office, and that was in Broadway, and we sat down, and Brother Rodriguez, and the reason I picked you to be the head usher, and the words he told me, Brother Rodriguez, I watched you for 2 years. 2 years. You got it in you. You have it in you. And if when he told me that, I felt like, man, I still got hope. Like that. It just made my day. And because that was my desire.
Yeah.
Wanting to work for his kingdom, be something for him.
Yeah.
And when I started the usher ministry back home this way, my brother, I started cleaning toilets and all that. And Pastor said, go clean the curbs. And yes, sir, I will. And this. And I started from the bottom.
Yeah.
And I started scrubbing toilets. And I just wanted to be obedient to God and to God's shepherd, and I asked God, I just want to be used.
Yeah.
And coming over here, and when he told me that, Pastor Mel told me that, Brother Rodriguez, you have it in you. And when that finished, we talked and we hugged, and I walked out of his office. It was in Broadway. And I looked towards heaven, and I asked God, you have to help me. Be with me.
Yeah.
And because I heard his voice at that when we were at Spokane, at Broadway Church, and when he asked me to be the head usher, I heard the voice again. Remember, you say you want to work for my kingdom. So I heard that. That's when we had that meeting 2 weeks later, and the journey started right there. But at that time, I was learning the process, my skills, my manners, how to work with people, coming from the streets inside the kingdom of God. I had to break some barriers, and working with people. How are you going to react when they tell you this, but the good thing, my brother, that really, really helped me got to Pastor Bill, the counsel he gave me. The counsel he gave me. So I grabbed that, I put it in my heart, and the past 15 years, and he began to know me too, and my skills has gone better just by Pastor Mail,
And I've seen that too. I've seen that because I've grown up around men like you. A pattern that I see is when you came back to church and to God, wondering if you could still be used, it was through that arm of another brother.
Yeah.
That he put his arm around you, and you felt it like God's still here. He's still with me. Years down the road, family, and now at a new church, and you still want to be used through another, now pastor.
Yeah.
Is saying, I have confidence in you. And he saw it in you.
Yeah.
He saw it in you.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing when anybody can look at you when you're in a low or when you just are surrounded by uncertainties, and to be able to say, I have confidence in you.
Yes. And there was a moment, and hey, and when there was moments that I began to, God has put pastor in my life, and there was moments that I wanted to talk to him, and after church or whatever, I could be like 6 feet or 5 feet away from him. If he sees me with my hand crossed, he knows I want to talk to him. See, I begin to learn the manners, the
Wow.
respect,
Yeah.
because I begin to know Pastor too,
Right.
was when he greets people, or there's that moment already when he sees me, he knows I want to talk to him. I learned that, I want to be able to have the respect, and just wait for him, and then I can talk to him, A lot of surrounding the areas that I wanted to learn, God through Pastor Mel, I learned skills. I learned the areas that I wanted to learn,
Yeah.
so I could help people too,
That's amazing. In wrapping up on the tail end of this, like you said, coming from the streets, totally different environment in mannerism of how you can carry yourself, to now being an usher, head usher, and you're dealing with people. This is a position where pastor is giving you the authority to tell someone that can't come in here. You need to move over here. Hey, I'm sorry, but we don't have gum in here. And being an usher
Yes.
under you too, which is really cool. And it's I don't think I've ever seen a transfer of ushers. You've always been the head usher. So that was a big deal for me to see that. But that takes a lot of skills. What are some things that you've learned over, I think, 15 years?
Yeah, 15
of
years.
being head usher? Because you're not just dealing with a visitor who just walks in and doesn't know we don't allow gum or we don't allow a Starbucks coffee. You're also dealing with other head departments who carry their own weight,
Yes.
and there's an ebb and flow of how to talk with each other and,
Right,
and still
right.
show each other respect and not step on each other's toes, and communicate to pastor. And there's a lot of skills in there that, the more skills you have as far as communication go, it can make your life very, very easy.
And skills like that, when moments that like the coffee,
Yeah.
people want to bring it to the church. God, give me words to talk to this individual. Give me the words. But I still have to stand my grounds. How God wants us, how pastors, wants in the church, order in the church. And there are people they take it really good, and there's people that who are you?
Who are you?
And
Tell me.
even people in the church too.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I had this one individual person, and it was in the back. I mean, this individual person had her foot in the wall, and I mean, practically her heels, and God, give me some words I could, sister, yeah, can you please take your heels, your feet off the wall, and but it's just like she looks at me and, who are you? Well, I'm the head usher here, and please take your feet down. You're scratching the walls. So things that we see like that in our surroundings, or when you see people down, well, follow me. They decide to go their way. And I mean, it can go both ways. It can go with my usher staff,
Right.
and I see something, I have to tell them,
Right. It's your
because
responsibility.
it's my responsibility, because
Right.
not only that, pastor sees from the top, and like the baby, like the baby crying in the church.
Yeah.
I already know when pastor's doing this body language, he wants me to get on it right away, and because because he's preaching, he wants order in the church, and those areas I had to be precautious, had to leave my staff know, look, if you see this or this happened, you have to pursue it.
Right.
You have to pursue it, but
Right.
there's a way to do it, and there was time that we had people coming in like visitors, and but we're at Broadway. I can tell you one experience we had. This guy wanted to fight me out there. I'm gonna go in whether you like it or not. No, you're not. It just things that happen just like that
Yeah.
will catch you.
Yeah.
And another time that we had another visitor and pastor calls me to the office. There's the individual so and so is in the balcony. I want you to escort her out right away.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, sir. And because I wanted to be obedient and just follow my pastor's orders,
Right. We're on the last one. Before we go into the last segment, can you tell that story about pastor's office?
Oh, one day when I was ushering, this was at Broadway, and he walks in and no, let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
He was already in his office, and I wanted to go ask him something, and so I just went back there, and the door was a little bit open. It was cracked a little bit, and so I just and I burst in, I opened the door, Pastor Mail, and he looks at me, and he goes like this, "What, don't you know how to knock?" Oh no, Pastor, I apologize. Let me start again. Let me go outside. No. Come on in. So, anyway, he tells me, "What do you need, Brother Rodriguez? So, what is it? What's going on?" "Oh, this. Okay, this." And when I was gonna walk back out, and Pastor, I apologize. No, don't apologize. It's okay. It's okay. So I walked out, and because I remember everything that when I worked with him and I talked to him, and but that day I learned something there.
Yeah.
That's when it started to hit. It started hitting me, because he wants everything was manners, respect, and everything.
Yeah.
And that day I learned something. I learned something really big that day, when I rushed in like that, and because he's being him being my pastor, and now I know now, and I'm learning during the process. Now being the head usher, you learn surrounding your mistakes. You learn it to be good,
Yeah. That's a funny story. That just makes me laugh just thinking about it, because I know what that's like. In this chapter of your life, like we were talking about earlier, there's a lot of transitioning out of being head usher, having more time with your family. What are you looking forward to in this chapter of your life?
This chapter of my life now, since I was a head usher and everything, and now, like, at this time, this moment, and I want to do altar calls and pray for people, and now since I'm sitting with my family, and I say this really humble, my brother, and it feels good, because at the time when you're ushering, and it's like all you're thinking is about the flooring, how it's gonna run. It is, but now I'm starting my new chapter, like starting like another up ahead. What I want to do for God is pray for people and talk to people, and whatever pastor wants me to, like doing an altar call, he asks me go pray for that person, and I'll do it. I'll be obedient. I want to pray for the sick, and just do His will, and And they retired me since I retired from the ushers, that something, and it was God's timing already, and because He saw my heart. And I mean, there's time I look back, and all the ushers, and because it's still in you
Still part of you.
sometimes, and but during the change, and I want to do more for God, more for God. And the altar call, praying for people, I like doing that. But I want to be sensitive to the Spirit, because I just don't want to do it because I want to do it.
Yeah.
I want to be sensitive to God's, the power of God, the Holy Ghost, because it's hard, because it's critical, because this, you want to do this. I want God to direct me. I want to hear His voice through pastor. Go do this, go pray for that person, and that's my new chapter. That's what I want to do. I want to just keep working for God, moving forward and helping people, and, different ministry that I can work with, or,
That's awesome. It's amazing. Well, that's it. That's everything. Is there anything on your list that we didn't get to that you'd like to go over?
Okay,
Yes, that's the last one. I had that on my list too. Yeah. Okay. So your oldest son is getting married this year, which means you're going to be a grandfather soon. What are you looking forward to? Is there a name picked out for them to address you? Like, do you already have a name picked out to be addressed as grandfather and grandma?
My future daughter-in-law, she already calls me Papa already.
Really?
Yeah, she calls me Papa. And I mean, me and my wife, we love her so much, and we'll sit at our table and we'll talk, man. I tell my wife, and man, she's good. She'll be good for Andrew.
Yeah.
Because I know she's gonna help Andrew too, and because Andrew has a little bit of my ways, a little bit, and that's how my wife came into my life, and she had to break that a little bit, but it was for good. It was for good, and I'm happy for my son,
Yeah.
I mean, her coming into our lives and Andrew's life, and when I met her and they found out they were going to get married, and they proposed, she calls me Papa. Hey, Papa, how was your day? And I'm excited. I get emotional because my son's getting married, Andrew, and I want grandkids. I want grandkids because I want to be able to take him to the store, buy candy, or, my dad was the same way, I mean, his growing up, and he'll come home, the grandkids will have candy, sodas, and everything. I want to do the same thing,
Yeah.
you
Absolutely.
and go from there. And my business, my shoe shine business,
I wanted to talk about that. What gave you the desire to do that?
I think it's going close 2 years. I was sitting down with my wife in the living room, man, and I just looked at her, and I told her, honey, I want to go back into my shoe shine business, and she tells me, well, go ahead. I mean, go ahead and do it, and so, because I did it back home, and a brother from another church taught me how to shine shoes, but really how to shine shoes,
Okay.
and so I told her that day, and so I started buying all my products, I told my friend from back home, make me some cards, and I mean, I enjoy it. I got my office at home, it's almost finished, and I could be in that. Right now I'm working in my garage, and I put music on, and it's a passion.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's a passion because I mean, God gave me the opportunity with brothers in the church. They want their shoe shine, so they'll call me. Hey,
Right.
Brother Rodriguez, I need my shoe shine. Okay, bring them to church.
Right.
You know, I shine pastor's shoes, you
Yeah.
know, and different brothers, you know, Brother Marks, you know, and that's a blessing to me because how, I mean, it's a passion. I mean, I could be there sitting down, shining shoes, you know, and hearing my music because I love doing it, you know. And I think, you know, I took a little break, you know, right now, but after winter, I'm going to, hopefully I finish my office. They could be doing drop off, they can pick
Yes.
them up, you know, and, but I enjoy shining shoes, you know, and
I love that.
yeah,
There's
and
something so satisfying about cleaning something, especially like a good dress shoe looks so good. It looks so
yeah,
good. And it shows the attention to detail that someone took, time to have that taken care of. Because it's really easy to get a nice suit. It's really easy to get a tie. But to make sure your shoes are looking great and as
yeah.
best as they can, it says a lot.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah.
says a lot. You know what I thought about? I had the idea for you. I'm trying to think about it in whole. Essentially, of the idea of, let's say someone's in Oregon and they know about your business, they send their shoes to you, and then you can clean them and send it back.
Yeah.
But opening up your market to more people. It's just an idea I had.
You talking about like put them like in the market or whatever?
So someone in Oregon State
Oh, okay.
sends their shoes through the mail to you,
Oh, okay, okay.
and you clean them and your whole polish, your whole system, and then they can send it back. Just so you have more people to service
Yeah, yeah.
who can say, hey, I don't have to just go to the same church or be in the same
Right,
area. I can just send it to him.
right, right.
That would open up your availability
Like,
to a lot of people.
yeah,
Just an
and
idea.
I'm glad you said that because Brother Sergio Rodriguez, he called me one day. Hey, Brother Rodriguez, brother, because we were getting ready for something. It was last year, you know, and he said Brother Cornelius gave him a call, and he talked to Brother Sergio. Hey, do you know of a shoe shiner that's shining shoes? Oh yes, I'll send you his number or whatever. So we connected. So for Brother Cornelius came for Summit, he brought him a day ahead. So
I remember that. I feel like I helped with that somehow. Maybe I was
yeah,
his cadet or something, but
yeah,
I feel like I
yeah.
helped with that.
So I shined these shoes, and it was a privilege because, I mean, it was an honor because, wow, you know, like, it made me feel good, you know, shining the shoes of a
Godly
God's
man.
preacher, you know,
Yeah.
and he was going to preach that night. You
No,
know,
it's an
and-
honor.
Yeah.
It's an honor. It would be. That's an honor.
Yeah, and it made me feel good, and it's like going back what you said, you know, it could be out of town, whatever, you know. And then today, like this past week, I talked to my coworker, you know, he's young, he's 19. I got him under my wings, you know, talked to him a little bit. And he said, Romero, if you ever want me to advertise your shoes,
Yeah.
Because I have a thing,
Social media. Yeah.
yeah, and
it.
I could do it for you.
Yes.
You take pictures of your shoes, everything,
Yes.
I will do everything for you.
That's amazing. Do that.
And that was a blessing,
Yes.
you know, and it's just like it's a passion for me.
Yes.
It's a passion, you know, and because it calms my spirit. I can talk to God,
Yeah.
and I can tears,
Yeah.
you know, with joy, what He has given me, you know.
That's amazing. That's very. It's great when there's passion in someone's life. When you have something to live for that's bigger than yourself, i.e., a wife, family, helping other people, it just gives your life a richness.
Yeah.
God's given that richness. God knows the desires of our hearts, and He sees it. I think one of the hardest things, but the biggest things, if we can acquire this
Yeah.
in our spirit, I'll still serve God, and I'll still be just as content when he has not given me the things that I've asked for. He knows where I want to be. He knows how I want to feel.
Right.
He knows how I want to look. The things I might never have had, whether it's material things, whether it's character, just whatever. Being patient and letting him give it to you in his time.
Right.
I think, and it's a good thing, because what a tragedy to receive the right thing when you're wrong, to receive the right thing in the wrong season of your life, and you're the one who corrupted that good thing. If I could just think of an example, I don't know, a truck. A 16-year-old kid is like, I want a truck, but I want a really big truck that's a stick shift. It's like, you're not ready for that. You couldn't handle that.
Right.
You need something a little smaller, but you don't know that, and that takes trust, and it takes time to just say, I'm going to be okay.
Right.
It doesn't matter if God gives it to me today or tomorrow or in 5 years. Just believe he's got the best for you.
Right.
He's got the best in store for you. So I feel like that's everything. Thank you so much for being my first
brother.
guest.
Thank you, and I really appreciate you, and thank you for having me on board to talk to you today.
Absolutely.
And I feel really honored. Thank you, God, through you, and that you opened the doors for me to do this. If I can reach people or whatever, Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I wrote this down. I just felt this the other day. I'm trying to remember it. It was really good too. It was something along the lines of, what is your story worth if it was never told? To have a testimony, to have lessons with richness such as yours.
Yeah.
To not be able to share that, share it if you can.
Yeah.
And that's my purpose in all of this, and the time and energy and equipment. Share stories that have an impact. Share stories where there's knowledge to learn from, lessons to take, and there's a richness in that.
Yeah.
You're young. I'm young. I'm 21. I'm glad I have enough. I don't know what the right word is. I'm glad I'm aware enough to know that money does not make me rich.
Right.
But through the people I know and through the lessons that I can learn without making them. Through this conversation today, learning so much of who you surround yourself with, how sin is there to take as much as it can when you're at your weakest, and it will. And all it takes is just one wrong moment.
Yeah.
One wrong house party with the wrong people, and you should have faced 9 years.
Right.
But you didn't. And that's by the mercy of God.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I count it joy, and I count it as a richness to be able to glean from that. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
You're welcome, man.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
on.
again. Thank
sir.
you.
Thank
God
you.
bless you.
God bless you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's it.